Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candy Talk, open forum political discussion show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. A lot is going down in our country. Many of us are caught unawares, left in shock, in disbelief in how much lies we can still put forth, even when it is clear that we are wrong from the word go. Well, the report about the uh, hero, or rather the son of the soil, CDF General Ogolla, is out on the helicopter crash that claimed his life, plus other KDF officers. And as the report is tabled, given to the president, questions are arising on some very vital details that are either left out or missing in the report. And this also, leaves a lot to be desired. Has history repeated itself as usual, where the country is like what Jesus described about Jerusalem. Say, woe unto you, Jerusalem, who kill your own prophets. And when you're finished, you now prepare their tombstone and make them tall and paint them white and say you're honoring your prophets when you are actually the ones that killed them. What is this that is unraveling with the demise of our CDF? And now the report comes, and there is a lot that is left, on the minds of Kenyans, still asking those questions that have never been settled from our history to date. Well, while that is going on, the echoes of war is not going anywhere. Now, the CS education is caught in its own lying again about the play and how it rose from the first presentation to where they got to the nationals. He claimed that the play has been doctored and has been changed, and that is why they intervened to stop it. But from the report from the courts are clear. The play has maintained what it was, and its exemplary performance from the word go. Nothing had been changed. Nothing has been changed. And so this yes has to tell us what his problem is and why he wants Kenyans to be deceived on open matters like this. And that has not just, featured here. The story is carried on the international television on these matters. And so it's interesting on how we are doing poorly in terms of, ensuring that what we are indeed focusing on is actually what is necessary. What is this about our administration that cannot stand common play by secondary school kids? This is crazy. And then, of course, we have the official liars for the government in their attempt to try and justify their excesses. And now they are saying that children are being used to settle political scores. I've not been in school, and we have done a lot, or we did a lot of literature materials, and majority of those literature materials were political and they were deliberate. There is a reason why they were made set books, from Kusatikika, Kifo Kisimani, Kisima cha Kiningi, all those books, the Betrayal in the City, Kilio cha Haki, including Masaibi and Gujero. It was all politics. And were meant to develop the students to think politically and begin to assume responsibility when it comes to public service and public accountability. So this one that I'm hearing from politicians coming up and saying that the echoes of war is Cleopas Malala getting back to William Ruto. I mean, why do Kenya Kwanza people think we are so dumb to fall for that? We begin to speak as if you have never been to a classroom. And we think that these children have just dropped from somewhere. They have not been part of this society. When SHA is not working, you think the students are not aware? These students were beneficiaries of EduAfya during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. Now, when they fall sick, they are on their own. Those are things that are happening before their eyes. And when they are invited into that discourse, of course, they have something to say. And so I really get pissed off when adults begin to behave like children and they want to invite us into their limited understanding of what should be and want to set the agenda in matters that they shouldn't be opening their mouths. I mean, you don't have to speak because you have a mouth. If you don't have something to say, shut up until you get something to say. Don't go to the media and begin to speak as if you are the one who authored the play. I participated in music festival, in drama festival. It's very tough to move from the local zonal. You go to division. We used to go all of that. In fact, now it's I think shorter. Okay, you do at the zonal level, sublocation, location, division, district, provincial, then national. It's a struggle to move from those ranks. And so if the play has gone all through and it was safe, and according to the marks that is being given, it is all approved according to the standards, addressed maudhui yote ambayo ilikuwa inahitajika na safe, because every drama festival has a theme, and that theme is part of what is judged in terms of your performance. So it is not just articulation, it's not just talking, it's not just performing. It's a matter of what? Weighing the question you are given, how you answered the question. And according to the performance of Echoes of War, they were all on top when it came to everything, meeting the expectations of the adjudicators, meeting the expectation of the said question, and all manner of things. So what is this that the CS for Education wants to fool us by telling us that the script has been changed? And who changes the script of a play to go for national? Unajua saa ingine mnanikasirisha sana wa Kenya, especially hawa watu ambao wanajifanya wasomi, wanaona hakuna mtu mwingine amesoma, ni hao tu. Let me not talk too much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tumeanza show. Asante sana kwa kuingia. Samahani tumeanza kuchelewa leo. Masuala ni mengi, masaa machache, lakini tunashukuru neema inatosha. Kwa hivyo namuona Lala ashaingia. Naomba tafadhali link ya kutumia kuingia studio nishaweka kwa comment section. Asante kwa wale ambao mnatujoin kwa TikTok, Facebook na YouTube, both channels, Sound Candy Talk and Sound Candy Talk live. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana tunapoanza kwa fujo tu, lakini naamini kwamba tutapata suluhu kwa mambo haya. So tutaangazia hili suala la Ogolla na yale masuala ambayo tunapewa saa hii kuhusu hiyo report, lakini maswali yameshaibuka kutokana na hiyo report, na hii yote ilitarajiwa. Kenya ni ile ile hata tukifanyaje, na hilo linaudhi sana, linauma sana. Hata sasa tuko tayari kudanganya tena masuala ambayo yako wazi. Nataka kuzingizia mpaka tunazingizia watoto wa shule, okay? Tunawaogopa. Mkiwaogopa mnaogopa tu. Mwalimu wangu wa shule alikuwa anasema nikikuchapa unasema na kuonea. Nikikuacha unasema na kuogopa. Unataka nifanyeje? So, kichwa kwa magoti. na mambo yako inaishia hapo. So sasa hii serikali imeogopa watoto. So watoke tu waseme tumeogopa, tuone vile tutawatreat, lakini masuala kuanza kucraft uongo hapa na pale, oh the play has been changed, the play has done this. In fact, that minister needs to go. Aongeze kwa list ya wale watu must go, ndio hii mchezo ishe kabisa. We can't have a government that is built on lies, propagating lies and wants us to believe into those lies. No, never. We must, as a people, own up these things and be able to fix them. Thank you very much. As we start with that story, and of course, there is Orengo's voice on the issue of the deal between ODM and Kenya Kwanza. And from the signals that I'm beginning to read, I think this marriage, if there was any, or this relationship, it may not survive longer if the observations that we are making are anything to go by. But this is it. Let's get talking. Asante sana. So let's start with that investigation report. Lala is here, will help us into the same. As many as the rest, I invite you, please, let's be here. Viewers wako chini sana, naomba tafadhali hakikisha unakaribisha mtu, unamkumbusha show imeanza. Wale wamelala waamshe, tuko hapa tunaangazia masuala haya na tunaamini kwamba suluhu litapatikana. Asante sana.
The Ministry of Defense has revealed that the helicopter crash that claimed the lives of former Chief of Defense Forces General Francis Ogolla and 9 other Kenya Defense Forces KDF personnel was caused by an engine malfunction. According to an investigation report released on Friday, there were loud noises the Bell Hugh helicopter KAF 1501 made before the crash and excessive heat inside the engine, which caused it to lose power, and as such the pilots could not control it to a clear landing zone. The aircraft was damaged beyond repair during the crash at Chesson shortly after takeoff from Cheptulel Boys High School in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Safina Chieng Oma with the latest updates.
On the 18th of April 2024, the then Chief of the Defense Forces, the late General Francis Ogolla, embarked on a journey to visit troops under the Operation Maliza Uhalifu in the North Rift counties of Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot, a trip that would unfortunately become his last official assignment. The gallant general and 9 other officers perished in a helicopter crash at Sidar village in Tot Division of Elgeyo Marakwet County that day, a tragic accident that has remained a mystery since. Close to a year later, a board that was established to investigate the accident has revealed that the aircraft crashed due to an engine malfunction shortly after takeoff from Chesogon. The investigation report details that the late General Ogolla departed Wilson Airport on board a helicopter KAF 1501, which made a stopover at Chesitet to refuel. From Chesitet, the late CDF and his entourage, including pilots Captain Sora Mohammed and Major George Benson Magondo, his aide-de-camp Captain Hilary Litali, Brigadier Swale Saidi, Colonel Kasain Olekuruta, Colonel Duncan Keitany, Lieutenant Colonel David Sawe, Senior Sergeant John Kinyua, Sergeant Cliffon Somondi, and the media team, Sergeant Rose Nyawira and Corporal Frank Ford Karanja Mogire, boarded the flight again to Kainuk. In Kainuk, the helicopter was again refueled and departed for Cheptulel Boys High School in Chesogon. After inspecting construction work at the school, General Ogolla and his team took off to go to the Defense Forces Recruits Training School in Eldoret. This was around 14:22 hours. Minutes after departure from Cheptulel Boys High School, the unfortunate happened. The helicopter crashed on a community farm, Shambala Amani, and caught fire on impact, claiming the lives of 10 people, with only 2 survivors. The 2 survivors were a pivotal part of the investigation, which took close to 12 months. The investigators analyzed 6 factors that could have caused the accident before settling on engine failure. According to their report, the aircraft suffered an engine compressor stall. Witness reports reveal that there were loud noises made by the aircraft at the engine compartment before the crash and excessive heat inside the engine before it lost power completely. The pilots could therefore not control the helicopter to a clear landing zone and it crashed. According to the investigation report, the helicopter was among those acquired in 2016 from USA and was efficient and had been used extensively on operational missions and key assignments in the Kenya Defence Forces. The aircraft is also reported to have undergone several scheduled inspections and servicing where no major defects were diagnosed. The investigators, however, recommended that the Kenya Air Force updates and reviews its standard operating procedures to avert future occurrence. Safin Acheng Oma, Citizen TV.
Mambo ni kama hayo kumhusu CDF ambaye alituacha Ogolla. Maelezo kuhusu kifo chake na kilichosababisha ajali hiyo. Na hiyo report hata kabla ilale kuna maswali ambayo yanaulizwa, na hayo maswali ndio ningependa tuanze nayo hata kabla tumlete Lala atusaidie katika kuelewa mengi kuhusu investigations and then military operations. In my understanding, these things are too many in one setting that are really heartbreaking in terms of how many lives we have lost in this country that were promising and would have been the, I would say the launching pad for the great future that we have always prayed for and envisioned. And those sent by God to be the ones to make that happen, we kill them, we eliminate them, we terminate them, and then we remain with our own problems because we did away with those who came to solve those problems. And this doesn't look good on this country. And so as we discuss this, I really would want to get us to think beyond the ordinary and begin to assess these things and call them for what they are. Some of these ills are just too many to be ignored and too many to be, not looked at. So I really want us to dive deep. So let's bring up these questions, and thereafter Lala will come in and share his mind on this.
What is not included in the report that the military has released on the helicopter crash that claimed the lives of Chief of Defence Forces General Francis Ogolla and 9 other military personnel? NTV's senior reporter Duncan Haemba poses this question as he takes us through the summary that has been made public, indicating that the Bell Hue helicopter that crashed in April 2024 was caused by engine malfunction.
Crashing scenes. The smoke rising from a mangle, painting in the path to the skies, a heavy picture of a dark day in the Republic. 18th of April 2024, at Sindar Village, Kaben location, Tot Division in Elgeyo Marakwet County. The Bell Hiwi helicopter KAF 1501 crashed to a fatal end for 12 military officers, among them Chief of Defence Forces, General Francis Omondi Ogolla. Nearly a year later, the Ministry of Defence has released a 6-page summary of the report investigating the cause of and circumstances around the crash. The report carries with it the flight of the ill-fated helicopter from when it departed Moi Air Base to Wilson Airport, then lifted up to North Rift where it eventually crashed as it embarked on what was to be its second last trip to Recruits Training School, Eldoret. With regard to the mission planning and execution for the day, the report says the pilot, Major John Benson Magondu received the task to convey the CDF to North Rift at 15:28 hours on 17th April 2024. It adds that the crew had sufficient time to prepare and plan for the mission. The following morning, Hiwi KAF 1501 had been prepared and certified as airworthy after successful completion of before-flight checks by the first-line personnel. The crew then signed the necessary paperwork, performed the requisite checks, and departed Moi Air Base for Nairobi Wilson Airport at 07:11 hours. The helicopter then departed Nairobi Wilson Airport at 09:15 hours with the 12 souls on board, which was within the carrying capacity of 13 with personal luggage. At the time of the crash, the helicopter had the same number of passengers that were on board from Nairobi's Wilson Airport. It had also consumed some fuel since the last refueling in Kainuk. Weight was therefore a less likely contributing factor, the report indicates. According to this flight path released, after lifting up from Wilson Airport, the chopper made a stopover at Chesit to refuel, then flew to Kainuk and was again refueled and departed for Cheptulel Boys High School in Chesogon, landing at 13:36 hours. After inspecting construction works at the school, General Ogolla and team took off for Defense Forces Recruits Training School in Eldoret at 14:22 hours. But around 14:20 hours, shortly after departure from Cheptulel Boys High School, the military aircraft crashed on a parcel of community land, killing 8 people on the spot, among them their military chief. 4 survivors of the crash were airlifted by Hughes MD-500 helicopters to Endo Health Center, whereby 2 succumbed to their injuries, and the remaining 2 were airlifted to Eldoret Regional Hospital. They survived. In 2024, before his burial, multiple sources disclosed that whereas the other victims were burnt, the late General Ogolla never got burnt, but had a deep cut at the back of his head, implying that either he jumped out of the helicopter to save his life, having been an experienced jet fighter pilot, hence crashed his head on a hard surface, or upon sensing danger, his soldiers might have acted swiftly to throw him out of the chopper in a bid to save him from getting burnt once the helicopter explodes in flames upon impact on the ground. Concerning the weather of the day, the military says Hiwi KAF 1501 was flying from Cheptulel Boys High School, Chesogon, to Defense Forces Recruits Training School, Eldoret. The crew executed the takeoff successfully under visual flight rules. The weather in the general area of the crash site was reported as scattered clouds, easterly winds, with temperature of 25 degrees centigrade. This weather is deemed favorable for air operations. The survey indicates that the weather was therefore a less likely contributing factor. When it comes to communication, KDF says Hiwi KAF 1501 departed Nairobi Wilson Airport for Chepsitet. The aircraft then flew to Chesagon via Kainuk. The crew were in constant two-way communication with other relevant stations. Communication was less likely to be a contributing factor. However, the military does not give further details, such as whether any recording was retrieved that perhaps revealed the last-minute communication, either between the pilot and his co-pilot or between them and the control towers. Regarding the engine, the report reveals the helicopter suffered engine compressor stall, which is consistent with witness report of a loud bang at the engine compartment and the measured gas temperature gauge, which when powered displayed an overexceedance of 914 degrees centigrade. The plane then experienced a complete power loss, which was followed by a left yaw, drop in engine, low RPM audio alarm, and change in engine noise. The pilots of KAF 1501 attempted to control the helicopter to a clear landing zone, but lost positive control of the aircraft. The report says the helicopter suffered Category 5 damage, that is, beyond economic repair as shown in these pictorials. The cause of the accident, the government says, based on facts and evidence gathered and indicated in the findings, the Board of Inquiry is of the opinion that Bell Huey helicopter crashed due to engine malfunction, and that consequently, in accordance with the recommendations of the Board of Inquiry, the Kenya Air Force has updated and reviewed its standard operating procedures to avert further occurrence. The late General Ogolla visited troops under the Operation Maliza Uhalifu in the North Rift counties of Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, and West Pokot, a visit that turned tragic, ending his life and that of 9 others. General Ogolla goes in the annals of history as Kenya's first CDF to die in office, a general who died with his soldiers. Duncan Haemba, NTV.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Questions upon questions on matters concerning the demise of CDF General Ogolla. Well, it's 1 year later, and these are the reports. Reverend Lala, how is it going?
I'm well, Bernard. How are you?
Great, great. Welcome.
Thank God for another day. And it's interesting. I didn't even know that that report is out of Ogola's investigation, and just been listening to the information that is being provided. I think I shared a little bit when the incident happened, and I don't want to comment much because Captain Maranga, the one who chaired that probe, is a personal friend, like my own brother. So I don't want to say things that I'm not quite sure about until I know he can't talk to me, but if he's listening somewhere, then he can hear me. But there are some few things that I have to say. The call Hui, call it Hugh, whatever you want to call it, helicopters are no longer used by the U.S. military. And the main reason is, one, they are very old. So they are what you call payload. The capacity that they have is quite limited. Things they can do are very, very limited. And so, number one is, imagine that you are driving because helicopters were designed in the 50s. They were used actually in the 60s during the Vietnam War. Okay, so you can think of having those old vehicles, the Morris Minor, very simple, and that is the one that is supposed to fly over with all this sophistication that have been developed to maneuver in the air against anything that may be coming at you. So the reason why the U.S. Replaced them, and of course the Black Hawk helicopters were put in place, is because of their limited capacity. They were good. They did a lot of good work, but there was nothing better then. So it's almost like using a beetle and comparing it to a car that is made in our time. So clearly, buying an equipment like that when one of the elite, like the U.S., don't need them because they can't do the job, and then here you are bringing it in, and I don't know when it was manufactured, this specific one that Ogolla used. So clearly, the man was in danger, okay? And I don't think they're going to talk much about it. And secondly, I'm curious to know what the Bell, which is the mother or the manufacturer of this particular helicopter, whether they did their own investigation too, because customarily they come in and make sure they do their own, because they also want to the lawsuits and plus the insurance factors. Um, they have to answer to that. So I don't know whether that was possible, or this line of helicopters too old, the point where they don't have certain responsibility of a manufacturer. I don't know, but they should. So we need that report too, because usually they bring in two reports coming in. If a plane crash, you hear the manufacturer's report and the investigators report. That's what you saw with even Ethiopian Airlines when it went down. The Boeing had to come up with their own report, and that happened, all the time. So to hear that there was something wrong with the engine, that is really a question that should also be manufacturers, question to answer. What really took place? What exactly happened? So we don't want to be uh, the way matters have been handled in the past, where issues are hidden from us. They don't tell us the whole truth, the whole, or what exactly took place. So we want to know exactly more. I not read the report. I like to look at it, what my friend and the rest have done. But Ogola's death, to me, is very personal, very important for me to know exactly what really happened. And on that particular day when this thing went down. So I'll like look at it, and maybe I'll comment a little bit later to know exactly, what the report says about this crash. So back to you, Bernard.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Lala, for that good start. But just revisiting that same report, according to the reporter, it says the aeroplane, before it took off, or the helicopter, was assessed by relevant engineers that are concerned with the same, and it was clear to be airworthy. And from Wilson to wherever they were going, I don't think is too far. Those fueling, I'm really, surprised. We don't fuel that often. I mean, uh, from one point you fuel, is it matatu? Is that how helicopter operates?
Those are questions that need to be probed. I mean, we want to. I love my friend to be able to give us more detail what they found really, because we don't want to be given, window shopping one report which is for our consumption to make us, calm and not to ask questions. We can handle this truth around Ogolla's death. I think we should be trusted. One of the things about how the colonial, masters were able to deal with us is as if we don't have critical thinking to kind of ask questions. So we are supposed to just swallow what we are being told. For example, when you and I in Kenya go to see a doctor, the medicine, the way it's practiced in Kenya is that the doctor knows the answer to your illness. So they write the prescription that you can't even read. You only take it to the pharmacist and they give you the medication and you feel better. People don't ask questions. But when you come out here, even a little kid will ask a question about the medication, the name of it, they know them, they know they know everything. And I think it's important for us to be able to asking questions about some of these things. We can handle the truth and know exactly what really happened rather than hiding, keeping some facts away from us. So back to you, Bernard.
All right, thank you. And The reason I'm asking, because, just ventilating openly without necessarily poking holes. Uh, what has happened in the past? In the past, in the sense that those who wish to get people out of the way, they would make some funny, those funny players to be put in those stations where the plane is clear and it's safe from the origin. But now in these fueling places, probably somebody interferes with the engine or the mechanism of the plane, and therefore able to cause that accident. And so
Eh,
I'm really suspicious because the stopovers have no issues, but every fueling at every stopover, I don't see that happening. Baba runs around with chopper. They fuel
Um,
it up like that, or the helicopter operates on low tank fuel.
Bernard, um,
Yes,
the Hui, Bell
yes.
helicopter, they were not bad at all. It's just that they were limited. But at that time, they were actually designed for medical evacuation. Um, that particular time. So in fact, when this thing happened, I I shared with this. I sat down with people use Bell. That's what they did. They fought in Vietnam. I sat with them actually in our rec room, and two of them were debating. I told them the scenario, what happened to Ogolla, and they were just wondering, asking all kinds of questions. So we really want to know what really happened. Is it the engine? Somebody messed with it. Is this something else foreign? What is it? So we want to study this report and find out exactly what happened to General Gola and the team that was with him. Yeah. So until I read it, and even after reading it, I don't know whether um, um, they would answer all my questions that I have in my mind. The kind of question that was raised by some of these people that I shared it with. These are members of retired, members of the U.S. One of them, particular one, was in Vietnam, used that helicopter. He knows it, back and forth. The other one also, was in the didn't go to Vietnam, but he had a good understanding and knowledge of the particular helicopters. I know there's some modern modification that have been done, but it's still limited. The reason why it was left is because they are old. When it's old, it means they cannot operate in the modern age with the capacity that are needed to be able to conduct a warfare, to make transportation but it was very stable, then, helicopter. So we want to know what else, went on. Of course, first of all, if I was in the Kenya Air Force or in the military, if I'm given a job, I will not put a general in those helicopters. If I do, they gotta be really in good shape. A lot of things must be made correct, must be corrected. And secondly, if I hear fueling here and there, I want to know exactly what happened. Why would um, uh, such a helicopter be used, and what else could have taken place? Because you just don't stop with uh, an important person like the KDF chief um, uh, anywhere unless somebody got access to that thing. So is it an inside job? What exactly took place? And the people were puzzled too. This and I've got no interest. They're just Americans who understand that plane very well. So I'd love to us to discuss this further when I look at that report. Thank you.
So thank you Lala, we appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to engage, please karibisha mtu ili tumakinike pamoja. Helen, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Great, great. Good to hear you.
Yeah, I was just on YouTube and just happened to pass by your live, and I find this very interesting. I think it's a good platform, just to talk about issues that are affecting us. Can I comment about this issue of
Yes,
Ogolla?
yes, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my late dad was in the military. Um, he was in the Second World War, and uh, growing up, he would tell me a lot of things about how these military jets work when there are crashes. What is supposed to happen? So I remember he used to talk about something called a black box. Whenever a plane crashes, there is something called a black box, which I think is what was being said in that report, the recordings that the journalist was talking about in that report. So there's usually a black box. I remember my dad saying that actually records all the conversations that take place between the pilots and the control towers, something like that. And so I haven't read the report either. I just happened to come across your YouTube, and then I was listening to the report uh, on TV. But there's usually a black box. Was it found? Um, because it would give us a lot of information about what were the conversations, what happened in the plane, and then you are able to come up with probably some conclusions. And then another thing is I'm also concerned about, when you say, is it a matatu that, you know, which keeps fueling as it goes, and all the passengers have to sit and wait. I've had this experience with matatus. It's quite interesting. I personally know Lillian, the the wife to the general. I grew up with the nieces, the Janet and not Lillian, Aileen. Aileen is the wife, and then Lillian is the niece, and the sister Janet. We grew up with them, so it was kind of a personal hit for me, and very very sad, and very very unfortunate actually, because this was just a cool guy. He didn't look like he could harm anyone. A professional person, did his job well. So from the report that I was hearing, from the journalist report, it's like that report is not even what we call comprehensive. It's kind of leaving out some details. Like for me, I would be interested in the black box. There's always a black box. That's what my dad used to tell me. Whenever there is a crash, it is usually found, and it's not easy for it to get burnt. Somehow, I think it's made of some material that actually is supposed to keep it intact for situations such as this. And then, of course, the type of plane. I mean, you would wonder, Kenya being such an advanced country, why would we? I don't know. I remember my dad talking about Fokker friendships. Was it a Fokker? Just these small, ordinary planes that are so old. Why was the general in that kind of a plane? So I think this report is leaving more questions than answers. And let's just pray that one day, one time, we'll actually get to the bottom of it, because it's quite disturbing, especially when, for me personally, some of these family members. It's quite sad, and I really do share in their grief. Yeah, so that's my take. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
Thank you, Helen. We appreciate that.
Helen,
It's,
can I say something to Helen?
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead,
Oh,
Lala.
hi, Helen.
Hi.
Helen, good to hear your voice. You're correct? A black
Oh,
box is a critical is a flight data recorder and a
yes.
cockpit voice recorder. So it's the one designed to capture anything in the case of a crash and
Yeah.
or any collision. So it is not supposed to be burned or destroyed, and it's the
Yeah.
one that actually decoded to give us detail of what really took place inside um, uh, those hours. So it was
Yeah.
designed for that purpose, that it can withstand crash. So it's well made, and they hardly is messed with in the case of a crash. So
Yeah.
that one, usually they get it out and probably they send it to the US or other places to
Yeah.
kind of get that data information from within that particular black box. Okay. So there must have been one. I don't know whether they found it, but we want to know exactly, what is on the inside. And I agree with you that uh, you see, this plane came from the US. I'm told it was one of the ones they were given by the US. Why would they give us a plane that they don't use themselves? Okay? They don't use
Yeah.
them. Well, they're still good enough, but they don't use them. They said it was, taken care of, which is, there's some of them being used around the world, but they retired them because they are old. It's like, uh, us going to buy new vehicles, and then we come up with those old vehicles in the 1960s.
Yeah.
We
My
buy
mom. My
hundreds
mom
of
used
them, or
to do
50 of them, or
so.
five of them on the road.
Yeah.
First, they are
Yeah.
slow. Secondly, they are no air conditioned. The engine they just don't work well in the modern age. That's why the U.S. retired them. Okay, so that's a question that must be raised in this context. Secondly, if the engine had an issue, you want to know something about that engine. That's a question that should be answered by the people who touch that engine and the manufacturers. Okay,
Mm.
because it's interesting enough. Sometimes even those engines, when you mess around with them, the computer data can also show something about what happened to them. Because generally planes are not like vehicles that you buy, and the owner may not be actually, for the life of that particular plane, the manufacturer is directly responsible. Okay,
Mm.
directly or indirectly. If something goes wrong, they also sued. When you're suing, when you are bringing a lawsuit, you only just sue the Kenya Air Force. You also sue the company that manufactured that uh, particular aircraft. So that's customarily how it is being done. So they have question to answer. So we don't want some deals, political deals that are in between there that keep things, kind of covered from us. Ogolla was our leader, was our son, was our hero. We want to know how he died, and that's important. So thank you, Helen.
Yeah. Thank you too. Actually, I would have expected the manufacturer to be the first person to come in because of their brand. Because usually these big planes, my dad used to work for Kenya Airways, and I could see whenever there was an issue with an aeroplane, the manufacturer would always come. It would be the first people on the ground, because then they will be protecting their brand. They don't want to spoil their name when it comes to their brand. So I would have expected these should have been the first people on the ground, and then I believe these American planes are also sophisticated, despite the fact that they're old. There's usually some computer information. It's like German cars, like a Benz. They're old,
You're
but they
correct.
still have,
Mhm.
yeah,
It was
computerized.
some work was done on them, so they not that they are kept that old, but they're old, but they want to make sure they are working, functioning well. So we want to
Yeah.
know, that part also. Mhm.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Yeah. So we just wait and see. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Interesting revelations indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to engage, please make effort to invite somebody to join in the discourse. And if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing, become resident so that we can be meeting here daily as we look into these matters. Uh, Reverend Lala, you talked about the plane being old. I see, especially on our state house, okay? Our president has been keen on renovating the state house, changing the vehicles, making sure that he's traveling in modern machines. And I'm sure this is done because of security reasons and safety. What was happening for the CDF to be put in an old plane going in bush place? And then also the reason I am not at peace with this issue of fueling, this place is fueling from where? The airport was Wilson, okay? The other places, it was stopovers. So were they carrying fuel? Help me understand. I'm a layman. Help
Air
me
Force. Air
understand.
Force.
Walikuwa wamebeba kwa gunia
Air Force
ama
One. Air Force One is
yes, yes.
Air Force One is the only plane that I've heard of or I know that can fuel in the air. I'm not sure of any other plane. The American president's aeroplane, the Air Force One.
Yeah,
That is the one who actually has the capacity to fuel in the air. So I'm not sure about
no, the
these.
others can fuel in the air too, but yeah, the others that can fuel in the air. These
But
days with the military, yeah, we can fuel in the air. Yes.
including this one that was carrying the general.
No, no, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the Kenya one. No, no, no. I'm not talking about when you mentioned the only one. It is one. It can, but also there are other kinds of plane that can also fuel in the air. Yes, especially the U.S. military. We have, we can fuel. Yeah.
Uh, but then there is something that is also disturbing me about the remarks that were made by the president about Ogolla and the fact that he wanted to. I think he was involved in the group that wanted to take the victory away from him. So it's really sad that this happens. I think we should always be very careful about the remarks we make that because sometimes they lead to speculation, they lead to, and we are Africans, they lead to suspicion, superstition, so that's a bit disturbing. For me, it's very, very disturbing. And I don't know. Some things you just pray to God so that eventually the truth can be revealed. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. It's. Yeah, we want to know. We want to know exactly what happened to him. I think my name is called Lala, Lala, but actually that's a name that we share with Ogolla, the same primary school. I'm older than him, of course, and that Lala is a school that he was very proud of. Before this incident took place, he was able to bring us water in that school. And when he passed on, I took over some of those functions, raising funds for the school, and actually I'm quite involved. So basically, Ogolla has a personal touch in my life, and I was really gone when he was in the school. So my family and members who know him, and it's very quiet, very nice, very gentle young man going through that particular school. So they had left a legacy in my village, okay, and so his death is so critical to me. And Helen, I do some work for the military, for the U.S. military, and the time I was stationed in a place called Okinawa, Japan, the one who was in charge of that particular um, uh, unit that time, particular area, the commander of South Pacific, um, was Brown, CQ Brown, the U.S., the one who has just been demoted or kicked out by Donald Trump. And I studied the two men. They were born in the same time. They joined the military at the same time. Interesting enough, one in Kenya, Air Force in Kenya, the other one Air Force in the U.S. And I happened to know both of them. So what happened? I didn't know Gula very well, but when he was made the general, I was so excited. So basically, I contacted CQ Brown about Ogolla, and actually if God would allowed us, maybe one of these days, the two men would have, had a chance. Now, one is dead, Gola is dead, and of course, C.Q. Brown is no longer the general because of short-sightedness and because of the think racist, bring somebody less qualified than him. So for Gola's legacy, I think we gotta fight for it because he was a good man. He had a history. You go and ask anybody around Lala, which is my school that I attended, and people around there, my own village. My home is less than a mile from the school, and this guy, the legacy is there. It's done, and even the water that he brought in that particular area, two schools, one for the primary school and one the secondary school, and so he was a real hero, even without being even a CDF. Even back there, he was a gentle, humble, spiritual man. That was Ogola. Thank you.
Wow, that is awesome. Um, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the funeral, considering I know some of the family members. But hopefully, when new people do a memorial, I think that's when the legacy then would be well, articulated. I think I would want to participate in that, because then again, whatever projects he started, I think the children or anyone else who was close to him should continue that, because he was a good man, from what I gathered. Yeah, and thank you for those really kind words about him. When people die, that is when you get to know the other side of them. And during the funeral, you don't really get to eulogize them well. So it would be nice if there was a memorial that could just do a good job about really giving this person his flowers, and for posterity also. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Lala. We hope that can be facilitated, or Lala can will help us with that. I think there's a foundation to that effect or something, but I'm not sure. But I will need to gather more information on the same. But it's important as Kenyans not to, Kenyans at times there is that aspect of us forgetting so quickly, okay, especially when somebody dies in unclear circumstances. People like Msando, George Saitoti, Ojode, that we turn tragic happenings into just an event that is past. And so it appears that evil people among us, in terms of within the struggle for power, get away with these messes because as a people, we are not keen in following through. Or we cry about it, we make noise about it, and then we let the fire die. And when the fire dies, the story dies, and that's all. Like right now, everybody's up in arms because of the Butere Girls play, being frustrated by the administration. And probably this will last this week, and next week the festival will be over, and that will be the end of story. But how the police handled the situation, it's questionable. Disregard of the court order leaves a lot to be desired. So I would invite as a people, we must change our approach if we must improve on our results. We have lost too many lives, and all of them have a huge question mark, and those questions have not been answered successive administration after another. I don't think there is any clean administration that did not have loss of life of these especially great people, great leaders. And I at times feel like this country would be in a better place if those people are led to leave and were led to take the leadership. But this leadership that seeks to get rid of the best so that we are left with the leftovers, and these leftovers are there to ensure that nothing is left behind. It's annoying. It's heartbreaking, and I think as Kenyans, we need to review this aspect of brushing off stories and burying them, and wait for another event, wait for another accident, and then we discuss it, we talk about it, and that's the end of the story. We need to follow through. And I believe the people who are behind some of these things that are happening fine. I think they capitalize on that. So for us to get them off messing up our country, we need to follow them through to an extent whereby they need to pay, even when uh, even there were cases of people being prosecuted now for the heinous crimes they committed in World War One or World War Two, and things like that. 90 years later, 70 years later, so we should not get them off the hook. This letting them off the hook is what perpetuates these ills, and it's sad. It's sad that we get rid of the best to keep the status quo. Ni mbaya sana. So nawakaribisha wote ambao mnataka kuchangia katika kipindi, tafadhali link imeweka kwa comment section. Kama uioni, uliza, nitakupatia. Uingie useme ya kwako, usingoje dakika ya mwisho ndio unaingia unasema unataka kuendeleza kipindi wakati sisi tunang'atuka. So nakuomba tafadhali makinika. Alafu swali nilikuwa sijaweka, nimeweka sasa. You can respond to the poll question with what you think about the scenario of the military and handling this particular case. I always don't take it, with the good faith. When a report is given, then certain areas are protected. That means that thing is managed. And this managing of reports of public interest like this is what places our leadership and our government to be suspicious. Because all that scenario is not looking good. Then the report is given, a whole CDF and 12 others were in the plane, and then you give a summary report of 6 pages. 6 pages. Even if you're summarizing, Lala.
That's what it is. I don't know I'd like to see that report, because what we know is that we know who is have problem with the speed, but the main problem is the total engine output. Is usually there's a problem with this lift capacity. So we want to know all that, analyze what really went wrong, because there is a problem.
I think the excuse me, the report would only be complete if the manufacturer is involved, because if they're talking about engine malfunction, then that would require a professional um, observation or report or input from the manufacturer. Because when you talk about engine manufacturing, I think the manufacturer is best placed to explain
Um,
in
Ellen,
this type of
Ellen,
things. Yeah, what would actually.
Ellen, this is a discussion that have been going on for a long time with this particular type
Yes,
of an engine. This the capacity, what the problem it has. You see, you look at even without the accident. These are things that were going. A discussion was going on before the accident regarding this particular type of plane, and you can see those debates that have been going on and some of the challenges, problems, some of the good points and the bad points. So there
I
are
meant that.
certain. Go ahead.
Sorry, I meant that it should be part of the 6 pages. The 6 pages that Barrett is talking about. I'm saying that the
This only six
manufacturer's
pages.
Okay,
report should be
Ellen,
part of that.
order, please. Let's have a coordinated conversation for the audience to follow. So let somebody finish what they are saying, then you pick up and respond. If we do back and forth, we are losing a lot in between. So please, let's patiently wait, and then somebody finishes, then another one comes in. So
oh, I was
Helen,
just listening to Helen, but I was
mm,
just asking that report. Where is the report? Where can I see it?
the, let me find somebody to send me the copy. But according to the news report, the one that has been released today is 6 pages, but now the comprehensive one will be coming later. And then the issue of the manufacturer and all that. This is 1 year late. Okay, CDF passed on in February of last year. We are in April. Okay, so it's a whole year in between. So the issue of time, I think, should not come, because by now the report should be complete, and they are only releasing it with formality. Begin with the summary and then bring the comprehensive. So they, by reason of them submitting the report, it means that they have also cleared with the manufacturer of the plane. But now, using the information that Lala is giving us, that these planes were made in the 60s and even their production was stopped, so it even complicates the whole thing, because you sold the vehicle in the 50s, you used to manufacture it in the 50s, and it's no longer being manufactured. So I don't know. Helen.
Okay, if it was a summary, then we can accept that. And then if there's a comprehensive report that will come later, then we'll just wait for it, because that one will probably have the. Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you, Helen. And I hope it will not be disappointing like what we are used to in with our elections at the Supreme Court.
We
They give us summary outcome.
we,
When
we
they bring the comprehensive, it's even worse. It's even worse than the summary. So we would have just let it. Well, let's
pray
switch
about.
gears. Sorry.
No, I'm saying let's just be hopeful and wait and pray. That's all we can do for now.
Exactly. Thank you. Let's switch
Yeah.
with this other story of the CS for Education lying about the Butere Girls Echoes of War play, and then we'll now then thereafter we'll look at the Orengo and the signals that are pointing out maybe the memorandum of understanding between ODM and KK may just be breaking up, especially based on what has happened about the Butere Girls and the behavior of the police, because one of the agreement was for the rule of law to prevail and the police not to mishandle the Kenyans. So let's get what the minister said first.
Now tonight, we are calling his bluff. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba is battling the fiasco around the Butere Girls High School play Echoes of War, while using information that is in stark contrast to the documentation that he is referring to. His words show that he is lying, and our fact-checking will not take it lying down. Now, Ogamba has repeatedly stated that the play's script was altered from what was originally presented at the sub-county levels, and that this allegedly informed the adjudicators to ask for a review. However, the court documents, which include the adjudicators' reports, do not have this claim. If anything, there are more contrary comments. NTV's senior reporter Ibrahim Karanja busts the claims, even as opposition politicians continue to criticize the Ruto regime for how it handled the drama.
It has been a week of drama. More drama than what was to be staged at the National Drama and Film Festival. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba is a man trying to clear the government's name and image after Thursday's fiasco involving Butere Girls High School and their now curiosity-inducing play, Echoes of War. In defending his ministries and thus the government's position, the CS is firefighting and the truth seems to be getting burnt. In his statement Thursday, Ogamba said that, and I quote, "When the play was adjudicated at the sub-county level, the adjudicators advised the scriptwriter to expunge some of the offensive messages. At the county level, the play did not have any negative sentiments and was judged to proceed at the regional level. At the regional level, the script was significantly altered to include more offensive themes." End of quote. This is a statement that he has repeated Friday in Kisii.
It is when it was altered that now it became an issue with that area at the regional level.
But Ogamba is lying. According to court documents that were used in determining the contest, the petitioner attached, among other things, a sheet titled Adjudication Scheme and Comments from all the levels starting from the zonals to the regionals. It is here that the recommendations by the adjudicators, such as expunging some part of the play, as claimed by Ogamba, ought to have been made. But a thorough look at the documents finds no such recommendation. Comments by the adjudicators in the zonals as captured in the adjudication scheme and comments are as follows. On script and choice of play, a learner-centered play that depicts between the old and the young, appropriate language that is learner-centered. The script earned the school 25 out of 30 marks. The comments loaded the actors and their presentation, earning them 27 out of 30 marks. On directing, where they garnered 18 of 20 marks, the adjudicators stated that the play had credible actors presenting realistic ideas and closed that comment by saying the production showed excellent creativity. On the achievement on whether the message was effectively communicated and the impact it had on the audience, the adjudicator's position was that the theme was effectively communicated in the play, even though the resolution was not clear. The same positive comments were captured at the counties and the regional levels. On scripting and choice of play, the adjudicators remarked, good scripting of the play, good choice of a topical issue, a good story but a bit complex for the level of the performers and the audience. And on achievement category of scoring the performance, they stated a very good communication of the issue at hand. So where is the indication of the alleged suggestions by the adjudicators, as the education CS claims? Is he just sounding echoes of false? This even as questions are still being asked about how the country got to a level where children were caught up in an ugly crossfire comprising of tear gas, harassment, and a denial of a chance to effectively perform, even as journalists were targeted by police officers. Firm, convincing answers remain as tangible as mist. And now, In light of the picture painted of duty bearers' words and actions robed in cover-up, doublespeak, and playing to the gallery, politicians are now maximizing on the blunder.
So we have seen a situation where an administration has panicked because this one term is becoming real. So they are gone berserk. They are gone berserk, and they are now fighting shadows, including schoolgirls. From 2 girls, from 3 girls. These are harmless girls. How fluid is your government if girls can bring it down? Girls.
This Ruto regime has crossed the Rubicon. To the courageous students of Butere Girls, your resolve, even as you sang our national anthem in the face of riot gear and arms, has become a renewed symbol of hope, just like our Gen Zs. You are the true guardians of Kenya's future, bold, unyielding, and principled.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua even using the play to once again throw punches at the Nurdin Haji-led National Intelligence Service.
So if a decision needed to be made that that is a bad play and people should not see it, ingesimamishiwa huko mbali, because the officers on the ground every day, lakini watu wote wamelala, kila mtu anatafuta pesa. Hii serikali ni ya biashara. Watu ya intelligence wanatafuta biashara, watu ya polisi wanatafuta biashara.
But there are those with a different idea on how to cool the heat generated by the play.
And invite the Butere Girls in State House during the gala. Let them perform. And I'm asking you, pleading you with Mr. President to sit and watch the drama and enjoy. This will actually end the drama in the drama that we are experiencing.
All said and done, a running concern and question among Kenyans is, did it all have to get here? Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Matters, A Cause of War, play written by Cleopas Malala, former Kakamega Senator, former UDA Secretary General. And now the politicians are turning that entire play to be a political communication or political context between Malala and Ruto. But from the look of things, and having been in school, all the set books we did were political, and it was part of what framed our understanding of politics and how even public governance is done. So I don't see anything strange about this play and the girls acting it, except this government just want to divert us from their really fear about the play. Helen, what is your take on that?
Thank you very much. My view is a bit less sensational than what is happening right now.
All right, just give your view.
Including the journalistic reporting and yeah, and I can proudly say that in I think it was in 82, I was in Form 2, and my group, the literature class, we were the first English literature to African literature, and it was during my time. Are you there, Bernard?
Yes, I'm here. Just keep going.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I saw you disappearing a bit. Got worried a bit there. Yeah, so my group, the literature class of the class of 82, I think, either 82 or 83. It was a long time ago. We were the first students of literature to transition from English literature to to literature in English. Actually, it was called literature in English in order to accommodate African writers. That was the idea, because previously it was just European literature and mainly Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, Macbeth, and King Lear, and all that. So the idea of exposing us to African writers was so that we could develop African themes. And I remember, Yinka, people like Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and The River Between, and all these books that we read. The idea was to speak to the society, to speak about what is the themes that are actually affecting us at that time in West Africa. I remember the theme was corruption. It was about coups, the themes, and then of course the writers, because I did literature up to first year university, then I dropped it and decided to take up pure philosophy. But I've always loved literature, and I was a very keen student of literature. So, and I believe I had very good teachers. What we used to have those days were set books, all right? And the idea of putting a set book on stage was so that we, the students, would be able to understand the script better, the play better, and also be able to think through the content. The issues were not, the plot and the theme. These are not things that just the writer or the playwright would just bring out openly. We were required to think through the content, through the characters, and there was a clear detachment between the author or the writer and the characters, so that people like Wale Soyinka would protect themselves from the backlash of the administration through the characters. Like I remember Wale Soyinka, he creates a character there called Moreno, who is a drunkard and who is mad. But you see, Moreno is actually the person who is talking, who is speaking the thoughts of the author without necessarily looking like these are the views of the author. So this is the problem I have with this particular a student and a teacher of critical thinking and philosophy. Yeah. So my question is this: is this book is it what is it called, a set book? And you remember, set books were books that were vetted before we were introduced to them as learners. And the reason why I'm asking this is that I paid very keen attention to that NTV report, where the adjudicators said that the play was a bit too complex for the performers and for the audience. I don't know whether you people picked that up. Now, that means that some attention should have been paid to that observation. And I tend to agree, because for me, as a student of literature, the idea of a literary work is that, first of all, there needs to be some imagination, there needs to be some creativity, and then the audience or the students in this case, because usually when a school is involved in staging a play, unlike those days in medieval times, you had these theater companies putting plays on stage in the big theaters in Europe and France and England and everywhere. That was for entertainment and also, of course, for sending messages. But where a school is involved, I would want to believe that this is supposed to it is supposed to help the students of literature. It is supposed to help them understand what are the thematic areas when you're studying a literary work, and then how does it help you now navigate your studies so that you're able to become either a literary giant yourself at some point, or you are also able to now understand what are the issues and then answer questions and do well in the exam. For me, that is what I believe should be the The aim of a set book. So, was this a set book? That is the question I would want somebody to answer. Secondly,
No, maybe just, let
um,
me just answer that straight, then you continue. It was not a set book.
okay.
It was what we call drama festival, where a theme is given by the Ministry of Education, and then schools that participate in the competition are to come up with those plays, poems, set music, where they now compete on their creativity, but it is zeroed into a particular theme every year. So it was not a set book. That's why the script writer just wrote a drama, like, let's say, a skit or something. And then uh, I still find it very well, wherever articulated on the issue of the matter being too complex for the students. Yes, could be there because of the scenario, because they were acting like, did you do Kusadikika? Shaban Roberts.
No, no, no. I did West African writers and Caribbean, South African, and
Kusadikika was also a political book, but written in Swahili, and it was envisioned in a country that was suspended. It had neighbors in heaven, earth, east, west, and north, and then they created something like that, and then they are acting about the leadership within that was not catching up with the rest of the world. So when change was introduced, everybody who came with another idea apart from what was Adikika believed was arrested and thrown in prison. So what Malala wrote in this particular script was some borrowing here and there in that kind of a scenario, but it was mainly talking about a leadership that is detached from the people, which now concurs with our current situation in the country, and especially the young people not being involved into decision making, and now they resort into taking charge. Now they want to take the lead with or without the support of the whatever, the elders. And so it's just the usual tussle. In my opinion, it just being a drama and is supposed to be used for that particular festival, uh, of course, to contribute to the boldness and, of course, the proper development of those students, especially when it comes now handling critical questions and that world of literature. But it wasn't necessary a set book, and it was not to be brought in an exam. Thank you.
Okay, then, well, for me, I've taught at university philosophy for about 27 years, and I know how the minds of young people work. And these Gen Zs, and I have some of them in my household, their level of maturity and thinking, they are not people you'd say that, okay, now we want to involve you in decision making. You see, they've not even reached that. Actually, that is why we introduced in KU critical thinking as a compulsory unit, because that part of learning was lacking. The students would just cram stuff, and then there was rote learning, and then there was nothing like thinking through content. So decision making is about thinking through content and coming up with serious decisions. Now, without that background, which I can see CBC trying to introduce critical thinking in the CBC curriculum. That is good, because then I think it is absolutely, and I happen to have this other view, that it is ambitious to expect these young impressionable minds to become part of decision making. And why am I saying this? Because of looking at the current situation, okay, I watched a bit of that play on YouTube. I've not watched the whole of the play. But one part that I watched that was very clear was something, 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 and then Kasongo must go, you know? And I was imagining Kasongo knowing that he's Kasongo, and then this place that's supposed to end up in State House. I don't think that would be very funny, considering literature is supposed to to communicate very, very serious messages in a very subtle manner, and you're here performing for the subject, and you expect this person to smile, you know. So perhaps this wasn't a very good choice. By the way, I do have a sentimental attachment to Butere Girls because my mother in the 1940s was a student at Butere Girls, then Chadwick College. And they used to win a lot of trophies because of their creativity, because of the kind of education that they were exposed to. And then some of us became a product of that. So we also excelled because of that foundation that was laid. So for me, I do have that sentimental attachment to Butere Girls because of my mom. So it was very sad, actually, for me to see. I was wondering, you know, my mom died at the age of 93 in 2022. I was wondering if she were around and she's seeing her alma mater, you know, students being tear gassed, how would she take it? So for me, I think that script was a bit too sensational, too heavy for this. I don't know, what are they, from two or from one or from two or from three students? Because even when we are doing literary works, I think we also need to gauge the minds of these young people. We know what is happening in the country. The young people have come up with that anthem, you know, must go, must go. And what we are doing is we are whipping up emotions without seeing how we are going to manage the backlash. That is my concern. And why did it have to come from Malala, a politician? Because why are we not seeing students also writing plays? Is this not the aim of literature, so that we can see their creativity coming out, their imagination coming out? You know, if we are going to ask young people to be part of decision making, then they should also be part of writing these scripts. They should be part of writing their own story, and not us somehow providing these scripts for them. So personally, I have an issue with that, and I know Malala has a penchant for writing very controversial plays like The Shackles of Doom and all that. So for me, I think the play may be good, the script may be good, but it's probably I don't know. Maybe it shouldn't have been acted by school kids. Maybe it should have been just put on at Phoenix, you know, at the national. Sorry, now we have what, the National Theatre, and acted now by adults, because now with the young people getting into this revolution that is taking place, and it's not being managed, and they're just, you know, because they are our children. I have these Gen Zs in the house. I would want my son or my daughter to understand things and handle them in a very mature manner. And again, the tradition of the plays I have read, and I've read many, those writers, these distinguished writers, including Wole Soyinka, who got the prize, the literature prize, the Nobel Prize for Literature. I think, you know, these people, you as a writer, you need to write things in a certain manner, and the idea is there should be a moral there should be a lesson in the story. And then I had another problem with that title, Bernard. Echoes of War. You know, being the child of a dad who was in the army. My dad was in the Second World War. And then a student of war literature, because I remember we used to study a lot of war literature, but it was never about glorification of war. It was about how we end the war. All the books I read about the war literature, it was about condemning war. And then when after the Second World War, we had the United Nations bringing countries together so that we never have wars again. So that title for me was a bit that war part, it was a bit it was a bit disturbing for me. I didn't like that yeah, because the idea of war literature no longer talks about getting into the field and fighting, whether metaphorically or physically. War literature was mainly about talking about people in the trenches. The Caucasian Chalk Circle by Bertolt Brecht, it talks about the vagaries of war. It talks about how war is so devastating, how war destroys families, how war affects women and children. So any war literature that I know of was always condemning war. So much as now, and for me, I thought this is very personal between Malala and the president, because I think he was using this is how I see it. He was using these young, impressionable minds, talented minds, to hit back at his message, his adversary. And the war, I think, is between Malala and Ruto. I don't think it got anything to do with us. Those echoes ain't got nothing to do with us. That's just my view. Thank you.
That's when you seem to be the president's advisor.
No, not really. I'm a very good scholar of literature, by the way. My essays used to be pinned on the notice board many years ago at St. George's Primary School. I'm a very good student of literature, by the way. And I did Julius Caesar, and and I even auditioned to be Mark Antony, and our director was James Falkland, a real film director, not Balala. So I've been around this literature, environment. So I believe I'm just giving you my own independent mind. Yeah. But if Ruto wants to give me
I agree with you, and I can tell from what you're saying, you're well conversant with that world. The aspect of making the whole play to be settling of scores, that one is, in my understanding, is far fetched. Okay, of course, we say in my Bible teacher, we say the Bible says, from the overflow of the heart the mouth speaks. And when people dream, they don't dream from the blues. They dream from what they have been interacting with. And so whatever that was going on, and the time when the script was being written, will find a way of getting into the script. But also echoes of war, as scary as that would sound. I think one of the purpose of literature is anasema fasihi ni kioo cha jamii, and then also is issuing a warning in the sense that we cannot continue laying a foundation for war and not be not expect that war. Okay, it's like I keep stepping on your toe. Okay, then I expect you to keep smiling. How long are you going to be smiling? Okay, I step on you, you forgive, you forgive, you forgive. There will be some retaliation. And so, what is in this play? I have the script. I'm still looking for the full acted whatever really videos. I've not seen it. What I'm seeing on YouTube is, I don't think it's the whole scenario, but I have the written script. What I see there is something that is very literal in terms of what you are facing right now. Especially as a country, we are caught into that place of which way do we go, the Gen Z way or do we go the traditional way? we are caught into that transitional place whereby these two forces must one must give way. If we don't find a way of joining hands and flowing together, one must give way. And that giving way may result into a fight that will have dire consequences. And that's what we I believe needs to be taken in consideration. Other than that, shooting down this play or shooting out the situation. And this is from my interaction with those gens you're talking about. They are not just in your house, they are in every house. And of course, I have issues with the way they reason and the way they are generally the way they understand life. It's very strange for me. It's very strange in terms of my and that aspect of sense of responsibility. Meet somebody, I mean, he's 25 and then thereabout, and he looks like he doesn't have any problem when it comes to responsibility. He refuses to be responsible, and he sees nothing wrong with that. I don't know that kind of world. How you can still be breathing in and out, and you are just existing. That mentality is not from my school of thought. So it is something that we, especially the, who could say the millennials, the Gen X, and all that, need to seriously put in consideration. The people we're expecting to inherit us, they are not in any position to inherit. Handing this business to them, it's gone. It will never rise again. So what do we do to make sure that they are inheriting us is going to be sustainable? And that is, we must incorporate them into this aspect of understanding that life is not what they think it is. Because to them, they think everything we know and everything we are saying is wrong. They are the people that know their world and say things have moved on. Things are no longer working the way you people went to school. We are the in thing. I don't know, you are the psychologist. You can help us deduce that.
Yeah, actually, I'm a philosopher by training. That's I'm a professional philosopher. How? Yeah. So, I agree with you when you say that we do need to interrogate and talk about these themes that are affecting our country right now, the corruption, the young people. And I'm a Gen X, and I believe that this generation needs to be midwifed because they are hot-blooded, and then remember they're exposed to what is happening around the world and to the internet and all that. So I believe that we need to protect them, protect them from themselves. So I you can still communicate messages, I believe. By the way, I'm a writer, and I'm working on a book on gender issues right now. And the title of my book is "We Turned Them into Men." In other words, you can see I'm not putting the. I could have said that we are declaring war now on the men. You know, the battle of the sexes. Although I wrote a paper for an international journal about African feminism, and I like to use subtle titles. You can still communicate very serious, heavy messages, without necessarily using this very this is very what I would call intimidating, okay, scary words. You don't have to use them, but you can still communicate your message. And I believe we have to accept we have a problem, and our young people need to be guided into how they need to solve that problem. And then we also need to learn how to communicate some of these. I think literature is the best way to communicate messages, because you put your message in a story. You use imagination and a lot of creativity and characters, and look at, and you can even do it in the form of comedy. Shakespeare wrote comedies and tragedies. I remember the government inspector waiting for Godot. The messages are very subtle and very serious messages being sent, but you are laughing. And remember the scene after the government inspector, the mayor, I think, comes on stage and says, "Why are you people laughing? You are laughing at yourselves." You get. So there's a way in which you can also get us to laugh. We laugh at ourselves, but we are also acknowledging that we have a problem. And then that message is able to be sent to the person who is supposed to consume that information without necessarily intimidating them. Because I can imagine, Bernard, you're the president, and these guys come to the State House and they're telling you, Bernard must go. And, as a human being, you would not take it very lightly. You will react. So I think we need to use a lot of wisdom. And I think this is where you have the literary giants. They have a way of spinning stories. And I'm also a certified freelance journalist, by the way. So I also feel the media have a role to play also in sending some of these messages. I know everybody has beef with Kasongo right now, but you see, when we sensationalize everything, we might actually lose the script. We need to find a way of communicating these messages without necessarily creating an acrimonious situation. Yeah, and these young people, like I say, we also need, and this is important, Bernard. I'm doing a study right now about the effect of cartoons on young children. And these cartoons, it's very unfortunate. My children grew up with these cartoons, and I'm beginning to realize that there's something very wrong with them. They have what you call adult themes, but yet they are meant for children. And some of them, hey, I came to discover some of them even have what I would call homosexual themes. And if we are not careful as parents, as teachers, as a nation, as leaders, this generation is going to lose out on values, and then they're also going to lose out on their humanity and basically on who we are as a people, as Africans. So these adult themes and then which we put in the mouth of babes, in the mouth of children, I think, for me, I believe there's still a way that we can write stories, we can write and also encourage them to also to speak these themes in their language, without necessarily putting our own adult thinking into this kind of art, whether it is music or whether it is visual and performing arts, whatever it is. Yeah. So as a mother, as a scholar, as a Kenyan who is very much aware of what is happening around me, I'm the type of person who always believes in finding a way of sending a message without igniting emotions. And these teachers who kept passing that, I was also wondering, how did it even get to the nationals? How come how come it was not stopped at some stage? And teachers also have beef, and rightly so, with this administration. So
This is not about this administration. It is about this generation.
no, I'm a retired university lecturer, and I was in the trade union, by the way. So, and we really gave Moi a hard time. So I do understand the issues. But anyway, yeah, let us encourage students to be creative also. And I would want to see young people writing plays, and writing it in their language. Although I don't understand Sheng, but I'd like to hear them also being part of the script writing. Yeah, thank you.
Now, maybe let me say something on that. Having grown up in the 80s and in the 90s, look at the kind of love songs that we had in the 70s, in the 80s, the 90s. They were concealed. Okay, there was nothing explicit about it. Compare that with today's love songs. No thinking, no imagination. Everything is laid bare. So that is the difference between our upbringing and their upbringing, in the sense that in fact, I was wondering, why is it that the music festival have turned into uh, whatever, sanctioning schools to sing those tablet songs, those like Dube songs as set songs for music festival? Are we not writing new music anymore? Are we not creating new music anymore? And that shows on how concealing that information, like you're saying, will even lose the information. You lose the message along the way. Just common idioms you use, and this our graduates don't know what you're saying. So there is a generation here that is, I don't know whether they were beaten not to think. I think they feel pain when you get them to think a little deeper just to get what you're saying. And so the pressure is, should I conceal this information and will it be gotten? Other than when we were growing up, your grandma will give you a proverb and she has answered your question. It's for you to go and deduce it, and you will come out with an answer. These ones, after you give them a proverb, they will wait for you a meaning. So you define for them the proverb again, and then give them another proverb, and then they will ask you why, and then you will explain, because they rather use your brains to get what they want other than engage theirs to understand what you're saying. And so there is a shift here that we seem not to be appreciating, and we want to continue with business as usual. But I think this is to touch Okomata. So we should catch up quickly and look for how do we help in helping these people who have refused to think or who don't want to tax their brains to find the information, so that they get that information, and that information should be well managed so that it doesn't destroy the society fabric. But where we are, in my observation, is a bad place. It's a bad place. Looking at these are the people who want to hand the country to, who want to hand the future to. It makes me shiver. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're raising a very very important points. I watched. I like music, by the way. I play music just for fun, and I have my music on TikTok. If you want to go watch my music, you can see it there. And I'm old school, of course. Growing up, listening to Whitney and George Benson, and Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley before that. So, and then there was also the love letter. Remember the death? I would want to hear someone putting a play on stage about the death of a love letter. You know how we used to write love letters those days. You're the bean in my githeri, you're the tomato sauce in my chips. What happened to the love letter? And I watched Migosi, is it secondary school or primary school, playing this Lingala song. I don't know, what was the name of that song? Oyangana yaho, na 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 na. They were playing that music, and it was so beautiful, and they were enjoying it, and it was well received. So I picked that point you said about why is the drama festival not allowing them to actually play this old music, because it speaks to our culture. The music then was not just it wasn't just about making what you call organized noise. For me, I
Organized
think
noise and for entertainment only. It was
entertainment.
as a message.
There was a strong message, whether it was a love theme, whether it was there was always a moral in the song, family values. So this moral degradation, which we read in our literature books those days, the moral degradation was there even with our generation. But I think we were midwifed well, we were guided well. So I think Gen X and these other earlier generations, I think we also need to take the responsibility of bringing back our riddles, bringing back our proverbs, our idioms, and putting them in a script. The once upon a time stories. There was this old woman who lived in this village. People like Okot Bitek, Taban Loliong. Remember Okot Bitek talking about Atieno washing dishes, and it's a village setting, but it is also bringing out the issues that are affecting, let's say, the girl child in the society. So I don't know. I don't know whether the drama teachers are also Gen Zs, because if they are, then we are probably not going to see much creativity. But I think we need to have an intergenerational communication. We need to have that conversation. We need to pass these values down, because I have a grandson who is 3 years old, by the way, and when I sing to him those Luya songs that we used to sing, my grandma used to sing, he enjoys them, and he gets excited. So maybe a curriculum, our drama festival, I would want us to see more of those themes, because maybe that's a bigger problem than the political one. The degradation, the moral degradation of the values, um, the issue of, for us, talking about sex was a taboo. You dared not talk about it. In fact, for us, we were told just sitting next to a boy would make you pregnant. So we used to be very scared. But now we need to regulate the content that is coming out from the internet, like the way the Chinese are doing. We need to be a bit smarter also, so that our children are not being exposed to this explicit pornographic and these sexual scenes that are actually polluting their brain. So we also have a role to play, parents, so the society in general. How do we regulate this content that we are exposing our children to? Because the Chinese are doing it. By the way, Chinese don't even the content on TikTok, they don't consume it. They don't allow their people to consume it. But we are allowing ourselves to do that, and we are destroying ourselves. So this drama festival, maybe we need to rethink about how is it becoming. I want to see more Lingala songs. I want to see those old Elvis Presley songs. If these children are allowed to do what I'd call modern African dances or modern love songs, using their own style, but retaining the message and the theme, I think then we will be heading somewhere. But we can't just let them do what they want to do. And I agree with you. Actually, my fear is this. When you're telling them about war, and they're hot-blooded, and they're like, yeah, let's go, and then they're like, Kasongo must go everywhere. We might actually eventually lose the script, because another Kasongo will come up just from them, from their group. So we need to manage these teams very well. And I believe, I believe Kenya, we are a blessed people. We have very good cultural values, and I think we need to find a way of of keeping them and transferring them to the next generation. Yeah, that's my take.
Exactly. Thank you, Helen. We appreciate that. And that simply means there's a lot that we need to do. And I think this is also uh, caused by there was a gap created by a particular frame of parenting that let go the close scrutiny. You know, in the past, children did not just grow; they were monitored at every place. You can't lie to your mother; she will always know, and you even don't know how she knows. But you know that closeness, like when we are kids, if you're seated on the chair and then a guest walks in and you don't stand, or you don't like they want to have adult talk and you are seated there, your mother will not ask you to go, she will just look at you. And from the eyes you will know you're in the wrong place, you disappear. But
We
today,
were we were beaten for eating. We were beaten for not eating. We were beaten for sitting with where the visitors are. We were beaten for not sitting with the visitors. You know, the look was enough. You know. So yeah, I agree with you. The parenting styles. By the way, I've seen even how the Gen Zs handle babies, and oh my God, I'm so worried. Some even deny the babies the breast milk, forgetting that that is the best food you can give to a baby because they want to remain fashionable. So there are many things I think I would like to see these stories being told, these scripts being put on stage that the ladies need to forget about fashion. You need to breastfeed so that the baby can get the cholesterol, the colostrum that they need to be intelligent. These are the plays we need to see, bad dads. Don't give our children a bomb in the hand and what are you poor?
it's okay, interesting, but I think with that sense of responsibility, and also, I am a father of two girls, and one of the precautions I deliberately ensure that they get is letting them decide. uh, there is how children become incapacitated to some degree when you decide everything for them. So when they reach a particular age, you need to let them decide which clothes to wear. Then give your comment like that. If you don't let them make decisions, they will never learn to make decisions. And when they become grown up, they'll be taken around by anybody. They can't tell anybody no because they have never said no, and they have never, had that chance to either oppose or support anything. And so there is a lot that we need to do, and the lapses where parents failed. Uh, During our time, teachers filled in, and where our parents failed, the pastors and the church leaders filled in. But today, everybody for themselves, God for us all. And those loopholes are the ones contributing to all this. You can't just act on information because you are given or somebody told you. You had, and then you go and act it out. There is that aspect of knowing that although I'm exposed to this, it is not for now. If I try this, it's going to mess me in the future. So that holistic approach towards parenting is something we need to uh, put take seriously. And then teaching has changed. And I think what has gone wrong with this country is when we put everything to be money driven other than value driven, and whatever character development approach towards teaching. So the teaching that is all heap information, test the cramming of the information, and then all that, it's not developing the whole person. But my primary school teacher, if you came to class, you are sad, will be able to tell and to call you aside. What is the problem? You are not as happy as you. You know, they will be concerned about the whole person, not whether you laugh or cry. It is none of my business. I've finished the syllabus. So that I don't care attitude and that carelessness towards the child training is something that is costing us dearly. And if we don't do, get back to our senses and begin to pick up and fill up this, that it will be a bigger bomb than a cause of war. Because, in fact, that's what's happening. You've had cases of uh, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and then they break up, okay? And then what happens? The man calls the girl and stabs the girl. We had girlfriends in school, primary school, in secondary school, and being boot. Those days, it was going being boot. It was normal. They boot you in the morning. You pass with 3 girls to revenge in the afternoon. It wasn't a big deal. But today, it's a matter that somebody's losing life for, or somebody's killing somebody's child for. So there is a lot that we as the parents need to wake up and begin to help the situation. And then, of course, with that aspect of responsible passing of information, ensuring that the information given to those particular age bracket is for that age bracket and is preparing them for the next age bracket. I think our problem is we want to maintain children to be children and adults to be adults, and never prepare these children to become adults with the proper mindset of being an adult and being responsible and making sure that when you are at this age bracket, you should not be thinking like this. You should be thinking like this. When we don't guide them and leave them to themselves, we destroy them. If we overprotect them and not let them stand for anything for themselves, we also destroy them. So that delicate aspect of handling our children is something that we must consider seriously. But for now, I think this is a subject we will discuss more on the same. Nataka upeane maoni yako, and then from there we are beginning to wrap up. It's almost 3 a.m. in Nairobi.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, that is, you summarized it very well. That was excellent. Our children are a mirror. You know, they copy. We are the mirror of our children. They look to us and copy. And I agree that we need to guide them. You know, the clothes I bought for my children are still brand new. They don't even wear them. They're like, and you know, you really spend. I stopped buying clothes for my children because they would wear them. So I agree with you absolutely that let us also accept that the society is the mirror through which our children see themselves, and we need to make that mirror.
Helen, we are losing you. I think there's something wrong with your audio.
That can add value. And then remember the initiation ceremonies. That is what circumcision. Oh my goodness! Can you hear
Sorry,
me
Helen.
now?
Yeah, you're back now. Just pick up that statement.
Yeah, I was saying you have summarized it very well. The society is the mirror through which our children see themselves, and we do have a responsibility to guide them, and including in initiation ceremonies. That is what the gap is there. We don't longer have aunties to tell us, you know, how you transition from childhood to adulthood. The circumcision ceremonies and other initiation ceremonies, those were seminars where the children were actually taught, you know, how to transition, how to be responsible and no longer just materialistic. There was more to life than just living in a good house and having food on your table. Yeah, so I think you summarized it very well. Yeah, and maybe one of these days we should talk about that, because parents parents don't know. There's no school of parenting, and maybe we need to find a way of guiding the parents also, especially the Gen Z parent. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Exactly. And so we are not dropping this. We will pick it up and give it the required time, because the more we postpone, the worse the situation becomes. And then also, I believe in Mother Teresa's philosophy. The world will be clean if everybody swept their doorstep. We
Absolutely.
need to do whatever we can within our spaces. This aspect of us expecting to change our world when we have not changed our house, we have not changed our immediate doorstep, is not helping much. And so, for us to change this country, we should do it one person at a time, one individual at a time, and one aspect at a time. I was talking to some guys about the Western Kenya politics, where now everybody is talking of the Mlembe people should come together so that they can have negotiation on the national table and all that. Then and then now, for that to be achieved, they say they should now lead a campaign to get all the lawyers to come from ODM so that they can now come together. So I was saying, why should you go and destroy somebody's house so that you build yours? You're just proving that you cannot do without. You can't build your own thing. You have to go and destroy somebody's, and you pretend to be building yours, but what you're actually doing is creating two problems. You yourselves, you have not been able to come together. Okay, this person has come with a framework that has taken a large chunk of your people into that framework, and then you feel that the only way for you to get your relevance is tearing down this particular person and destroying whatever framework that he uses. And so when it comes to that, we waste our energy in those divisive politics. And so I was saying, what is wrong with the Trans Nzoia governor and the Bungoma governor, the Kakamega governor, Vihiga governor, Busia governor coming together? Okay, see, this is the Western Bloc. What are our common problems? Okay, we have shortage of schools. How many? We have shortage of hospitals. How many? We have shortage of industries. How many? So these are five governors putting their heads together and say, now, can we share this responsibility? Let's let Kakamega do industries, and let this one do hospitals. This one do. Then we have a way of addressing our problems home, back home here, with our limited resources, but leading to a particular permanent solution. Other than Trans Nzoia is growing maize, Bungoma is growing maize, Busia is fighting to grow maize too. Kakamega is also growing maize. So how do you help each other? And so we don't think solution. We think how to perpetuate politics and difference on who must go and who must come and why so and so is not there. I saw Salesa today running around the Nini gathering. He says he wants the youth to do what. So I asked, where is the crowd? He has a whole fleet of vehicles announcing that he has come to put together the young people. But nobody came out to see him. He was on the street. So there is something about our approach to leadership that is very wanting, and we must take a relook on the same. Unless Helen, you should give your closing remark. It's 3 minutes to 3 a.m. nataka tumalize, alafu hiyo kesho I believe you are a subscriber will engage further. I think we should dedicate kesho ni we already in Saturday. We should dedicate a day where we'll address this parenting manenos because it's a big issue. I will alert you when that is ready.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I love having. Thank you for creating this platform. I think, as Mother Teresa said, yeah, you change yourself if you want to change the world, and one person at a time. One. I agree with you. You know, one aspect at a time. As a person who comes from Western Vihiga, I know some young people who are supposed to go to that Salasia thing today, but they didn't go from Nairobi because we had that conversation. And I was also of the view that what we need is economic empowerment block, you know, and I absolutely support you on that, that this elusive Luya unity can only come about when we have gotten the vision right. And you know, so that we are not having identity issues and again misleading the next generation of the Luya nation. Yeah, so it's I'm glad. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed myself, and I'm certainly subscribed. And
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless.
You're welcome. And on the private chat, if you can put my WhatsApp number there, we can exchange contact so that there's a WhatsApp group for this
Oh,
platform
good.
where
Oh,
we
nice.
engage. So if you are interested, we can add you to. Lala, you disappeared. You're coming back at the wee
I
hours.
disappeared
Karibu
because
lakini.
work called me, so I had to rush and do the work. I think Helen, you kind of come from the military family, and your dad worked for the Kenya Airways.
Yes, yes. I was raised by a soldier. That is why I'm this unique person. Very
All
highly
right.
Yeah, he was an instructor in the army, and he was a great guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I still have the blackboards that he used to use to teach us homework in the house. So,
All right.
yeah, I know a lot of military stuff. Probably should
Mhm.
have joined the army.
You should have. You should
Yeah.
have. Uh-huh. Yeah, we also have the gentleman who was heading that probe is retired captain for the Kenya Airways, and he's a good man, a very good man. So we just trust that all will be well. In fact, when we had our maiden flight um, to when they started the New York um, Nairobi flight, he's the pilot that brought the plane back to Kenya. So when I was coming with him, he didn't know I was in the plane, but somebody whispered to him that I was in the plane. So my name was broadcasted in the whole of Kenya Airways. So that's a little bit my connection with the Kenya Airways and some of the staff, the military guys, and this gentleman kind of retired. His son is still one of our pilots there. So he's a good man. So I hope that we will know more about this report um, and then ask the questions. At the end of the day, the truth is what is important to all of us. We want to know the truth. We don't want to be patronized. That's in Africa too. Remember when Moi wanted a plane? I think they went to a place in the desert in the US here, and they got an old one, painted it, and they'll give it to Kenyans because any plane can do. We're just given anything. I think it's high time that we begin to build our own reputation. I mean, our own sense of responsibility, and that as people who know what they want, that can lead, that can have their own, stand on their own. So this question about Ogolla is deeper. I think Kenyans need to find the truth. We don't want another a leader just to die. That they have been dying, and we don't ask many questions. We are told, and then we know something is still there, but we just decide to, like ostriches, close our eyes or bury our head on the sand, and yet we are still having this question. So all of us must ask those questions, and yes, my friend must answer those questions. If there's some gaps, let him tell Kenyans what's really going on. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry I was away, and I'm glad I'm back. So,
Bernard, just allow me
Yes,
just to Lala a
yes,
little bit
carry on,
about
Helen.
this. My dad died without my dad died without getting the. There was some dues, I think, for the veterans. He never got that, and then also for the he started with East African Airways. There are also some dues he never got. So maybe if you have these military friends, probably I think they went to court or something, and he was a member of the what is it called, Kafuko, Kenya Association of what something veterans something. So maybe Lala, you probably I would like to have a conversation with you about that. Just the two, between the two of us, without Bernard, so that you see what is happening in that
You should
in
clear
that.
with Kasongo first. So
Let me
Ellen, I may not be the right person
yeah.
because I was never in the Kenya military, so that's the other side of it. Though I have friends, though
Yeah, I'd
I
like to
had, mhm,
if they were members
but
of that.
I've never been part of it. Yeah.
well, I think you two will talk. So Helen, leave me a
Yes,
number
I've
here on
gotten
the
your
private chat.
number. I've gotten your number. I will
Yes, then
send
Okay.
it.
so get
We'll
in
talk.
touch with me. Then I'll give you Lala's number, and then you link up from there. Lala may not have been in the military in Kenya, but he has friends, and those friends will have
Friends.
information, and those
Yeah.
information can help in the situation.
Thank you. Thank you, Kasongo.
Where I'm not Kasongo. Kasongo, Kasongo must be punished. You must go.
Helen, do you know Captain Baraza, the late Baraza? No.
Probably. Not so sure. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Maybe. Mm. No, I'm not sure if I do.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. It's I thought somebody that you may. I don't think you know him, but that's another connection that I also
No,
had.
I was very young when my dad came back from the army. He was in the Second World War.
Oh yeah,
And
okay. Then that's long
yeah,
time ago.
so I probably wouldn't know. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and that's it was Second World War, and the chopper that our CDF was using was meant for that time. It was meant for the 60s and the 50s, manufactured in the 56, and it had great work in the 60s during the Vietnam War and up to
Yeah.
70s, and then they were
Yeah.
retired. And yes, there's some which are still there, but for Africans, they are given those things. So, of course, they claim they rebuild them. There's some kind of models, but they're
Yeah.
still old fashioned. They are still no longer. It's like getting a beetle, that old beetle, and
Yeah.
making
My
one.
mom used to have a beetle. My mom had a beetle those days in the 50s,
Uh,
60s. Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
beetles
So,
are great.
you guys, we must call it a day. And thank you very much. You have had a very engaging
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tukiendelea tutaanza karibu. So let's reserve that for tomorrow's
Leonard,
engagement.
can I also say one thing?
Just a moment, Lal. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you to say
Something
the
different, yes. Mhm.
yeah. It's okay. Um, I just wanted Nini us to look at this picture where Kasongo is in trouble. No matter what he
Uh-oh.
does, so, the youth are waiting to swallow him. the trees
Kasongo
breaking.
has that night, right?
There's a snake on this other side, and Rick G is not
Crocodile.
shutting up. Interesting times indeed. So, Lala,
Yeah.
may I give your submission and closing remarks, please?
Just let me. My closing remark is Kenya has lost a great mind, legal mind. Norwigi Feroz, want to call it Feroz. He died here in Washington D.C. I've been trying to see if I can get there. The memorial is there for tomorrow. Salim Lon is organizing the people there plus the family. And so Kenyans and other friends are invited. East Africa basically practice law in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And it's believed that William Mutunga um, uh, was our first, with the new constitution. But there are many people who thought that Faris, could have Norway could have been, should have been the first CJ of Kenya because of his stature as a legal mind and brave and went against all those tyrants from as far as we can remember. So we have lost quite a giant of a freedom fighter, human right fighter, we call
True.
him. So let's pray for the family. And tomorrow at 10, if you are in DC area, tomorrow at 11:30, please, you can attend. You can go on my website and you can see the address on how to get there to say bye to this great man that served us, all of us in East Kenya, especially. And some of you remember the last when Baba was in court. He was that Indian gentleman who spoke eloquently against what that team of the cabal, were doing to us as a, during the election time. So let's pray for the family, and I just want to share that with you. Thank you very much, Bernard.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think
The
I have a
website you're
photo
talking about, do you have a link you could share?
link. Mm.
Um, I can. I think I sent it to you. Yeah, you should have it in
My
Bernard.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, I think it's WhatsApp. Yes, it should have
Okay.
been there.
Let me check. Let me check as Helen gives her closing remarks.
Bernard, do you know? I think I have a photo somewhere with Feroz Norji. I think I attended one seminar with him. So I think I need to look for that photograph and do my own tribute. But if there's a video link, that would be nice so that we can also watch. Or you can send us one of those fighter jets and we can attend. We can fly down on a lighted. Yeah. So if we can have a video link, it would be nice for us to watch online. Yeah. But I respect Feroz. I have interacted with him at University of Nairobi. We used to have so many seminars there. And wow, may God rest his soul in peace. Such a lovely guy. Wonderful personality. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you, Helen. So Lala, I can't see the link. If we check, or you may have sent to my other number,
I must
which
have
I don't
sent
have
it.
access to. I'm using the phone for TikTok.
Let me see if I can.
If you could get it, we put in the comment section, then everybody will do that. But if there is a feed, you say you are trying to get to the memorial service. Will you make it? And can we get the feed so that we run from this end?
Hold on here.
Or yeah.
Give me a second. Um,
Lala, you seem to have a challenge.
Yeah, I think I'm getting some little challenge here trying to navigate
If you
through
can
some of
copy the
these
link
things.
and put in the private chat, I'll be able to pick from there.
Yeah,
As we
I'll, I'll do that. I
this
think
show
it
seems to,
must be on your WhatsApp.
okay. Let me see. The show seems to be starting afresh. Eh? I can see Mama Selena coming, and Mama Selena, your configuration is not right. You, you need to fix it. If you can hear me, Mama Selena.
Oh, someone is asking Bernard if I'm in Kenya. I am very much in Kenya. Yeah, I'm in Kenya. For those who are someone who's asking, yeah, I'm in Kenya, and my brains are available for my country. I'm very patriotic.
Good, and that's why you need to put your brains together with Malala and help us with this. Kasongo must go. Like any other messages, that one will not take off.
Well, Kasongo has 9 lives. He has probably lives of a cat.
No, it's cornered. It's
But
cornered
we
this
were
time.
buddies, Bernard. These guys were
Uh,
buddies. Kasongo built a very big house for Malala in Kakamega. These guys have their own personal beef, which they should not involve us in. Yeah, we are ready to fight Kasongo in other ways, but Malala should not drag us into his beef with. I'm telling you, Bernard, you will see these people together tomorrow. Unacheza na these
Of
politicians.
course, that cannot be ruled out. That cannot be
I
ruled
love
out.
it.
But
Well, it's
I
attention
also
seeking.
I also hold it to that what has gone wrong has gone wrong, and
Yeah.
even if we agree that it has not gone wrong, it will not become right. And so, especially with our country where we are, we need to think differently and not ignore dealing with issues because of political whatever pacifying one another politically. That has been on for a long time and is not helping in terms of fixing things completely. Mpaka saa hii hatujamalizana na kifo cha JM Kariuki, Tom Mboya and things like that. Tutamaliza lini?
Huko, Robert Ouko.
Huko. Yes. So we really need to change and bring a closure to these matters by looking them in the eye and confronting whatever we need to confront, confess whatever we need to confess, forgive where we need to forgive, and let the country move on. But this cycle of fight after fight, fight after fight, we will not develop, we will not. One of the things that breaks my heart is that we have not gotten right on health, we have not gotten right on education, we have not gotten right on food. The three basic things. So, what are we? What is the purpose of us even, claiming to be having a government and running a government if that government is not solving anything, just telling us what it will bring and what we will get? So we need a leadership that needs to get a permanent solution to the problems and not leave problems halfway because they are campaign tools. If I bring tap water in all of Vihiga County and I want to be governor of Vihiga, what will I tell the people? Nitawaletea maji, wako nayo, stima wako nayo, barabara wako nayo. So our politics will now go to ideology because it's no longer on this. I will bring you this. I'll give you this. I'll bring you this. That's the periphery of serious politics. We need politics of brains, politics of innovations, not this business of niuliwaletea mabati tatu, andika hapo jina honorable Ngozi brought you. Please.
And sentence and chairs. I really hate that, Bernard. I've seen the woman reprobate doing that, giving out tents with her name on it. And I really blasted her on my Facebook. And I agree with you. We need politics of economic empowerment, ideas. And after all, even the budgets are done for some of the things we promise. So those are just lies that the politicians tell us. You cannot promise me a road when I know very well if it's not budgeted for, there's no way I'm going to get a road in my Panga village in Luanda. So yeah, I think Luyas, you people, my people, we need to start talking about putting our brains together. Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Please, let's give Mama Selina a chance to greet us, give her view. Tumeondoka mamia. Habari ya leo?
Salama sana Bernard. Thank you so much. Tumekuwa na Martha Karua na nimesikia Reverend sema mambo ya funeral. Yeye atakuwa hapo kesho and some of us will go because tunampenda. Otherwise tumekuwa na mambo mingi, successful meeting. Amekuwa na ndege. Yesterday alikuwa Baltimore. They had to attend around 10 universities. So leo fly back to Boston and then kesho atakuja DC and then she will go to Atlanta, Georgia. So atakuwa kwa funeral, lakini tumeshukuru Mungu and I hope this time round we will work in Kenya. So tutakuwa na summarize ya visit yake after tumemaliza. Otherwise it's a successful meeting. I miss so much because nataka kuingia lakini tuko busy, tuko na watu wengi, but I'm with you, Bernard. So nimetaka kusema ili Reverend Lala kama watu wanakuja, also Martha Karua atakuwa hapo.
Okay, thank you Mami for the information and I know you ukiwa na wageni lazima ukue busy. So tunaelewa na asante sana kwa kutuwakilisha.
Alafu
yes.
Kumbe tunasikizwa kwa hii channel ya Bernard. So when I was there, kuna mtu akuja akasema, so kumbe ni Selina unaongea kwa Bernard. Yes. Na I was so happy na nikamwambia lazima tukosoe Kasongo. But Martha kept my challenge. Akasema Selina, and he was another friend of us. He says Selina has been my friend for over 20 years and she's party, we are in party together, PPL, because we talk in Kenya. So it is good to have a friend and it's good someone to recognize you. I was so impressed and happy that msimamo ni kitu ya maana, even though and people ask questions about Raila. He told them Raila is my brother. Ninamheshimu. Ni mambo ya kuingia karibu kuingia ndani ya Kasongo ama asiingie, but we are good friends, we talk together. So watu wanafikiria kumbe kuna mambo mazuri yako mbele. Thank you. That is what I can only say, Penna. Thank you so much.
So thank you Mami, we appreciate that and all the best. Na mkienda hiyo memorial service, you convey our condolences. Ikiwezekana kama itakuwa na video streaming, tungependa hiyo link ili na sisi tubebe huku tukishirikisha wengine ambao
kwa sababu ni personal friend ya familia, so nitaongea na PA yake ndiye atue vile ataniconnect, nitakutumia link.
Yeah, unitumie link alafu nipange vile itakuwa
Asante, I will do
with
that.
a specific time. You give me the East African time, huh? Nisichanganyikiwe. All
I
right.
will.
Thank you.
Thank you
Well,
so much.
Helen, unless una la kusema, mimi nafungasha.
Langu ni kushukuru tu. I was happy to be here. I think this is the third time I'm watching your live stream, but the first time participating. So I hope I'll be part of this great initiative. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Please do. And let's make Kenya work. And of course, let's fight for a better future. Our children and our children's children depend on what we do and say right now. The season for compromising is over. Let's fix this country. And by all means, in our small way or in our big way, let's not allow evil to prevail. Otherwise, thank you so much, Helen. Thank you, Mama Selina. Thank you, Lala. Thank you, all the guys on the comment section. We appreciate you so much. Awesome. Asanteni sana. Tuni Mahmud, our PS, asante sana. Nani huyu mwingine? Karo, asante. Nashukuru tu sana. Naomba tu makinike, hata kama show imeisha, share hiyo video na watu wengi tu wapate kile ambacho tumezungumzia. Masuala ambayo tujakava will cover in the next show. And then remember, today there is the burial of the send-off of Baba's bodyguard. So it will be streaming live here. So we are almost live full day with those live streams. So you don't miss anything when you are linked to Sound Candy Talk. So tunakushukuru na angalia, nimeona Liz pia amekuwa hapa. Robert, of course, thank you sir for being here. Esther Stoll, as usual, asante sana. So tutakapokutana tena katika kipindi kingine, which will be coming around 11:30 in the night East African time, this open forum, but the other shows are run as usual. We really appreciate your input and your continued support, continued followership. Tunatarajia kukutana tena tutakapokutana. Barikiwe sana. Asante.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye.
Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candy Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and rallies. Reach on us today.
But the unthinkable happened. Police opened fire on unarmed demonstrators, killing over 20, injuring many, and leaving others unaccounted for. Frank was among the victims, hit by 6 bullets, yet by God's grace, he survived. After a series of life-saving surgeries, Frank can now walk again. But the bullets left a lasting impact. He can no longer perform heavy-duty jobs to support his grandmother. In their iron sheet home, deep in the slum, is inaccessible by vehicles. In case of a medical emergency, help is far out of reach. To make matters worse, the slum is plagued by insecurity, with daily cases of muggings and robberies. Despite all these challenges, Frank dreams of finishing his education, learning a trade, and building a better life for his grandmother, the woman who has stood by him through every storm. This is where we need your help. In the short term, we aim to move Frank and his grandmother to a safer home where they can access medical care and live without constant fear. Long term, we want to support Frank in completing his education, learning a profitable skill, and starting a small business. I've faced so much, but I'm still standing. I want to work hard, take care of my grandmother, and make her proud. I just need a chance. You can be the change in Frank's life. Every contribution, big or small, will go a long way in helping this brave young man and his grandmother rebuild their lives. Let's come together and help Frank fulfill his God-given destiny. God bless you. Send your donations to Sound Candid Talk, support Frank Okoth account. The link is in the description below. Together, we can make a difference. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video widely, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories on Sound Candid Talk.